Before anything else, picture this. I'm standing in front of my own backyard gate, and 3 HOA board members are pointing at me like I'm some kind of criminal. One of them is shouting, "He's trespassing, call the police," as if the scene wasn't happening on my property. And the craziest part, they were completely convinced they could get me arrested, because they had no idea who I really was. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from, because this one still makes my blood boil. It had started like any other quiet Saturday morning. I had just brewed my coffee, stepped outside in my boots, and let the crisp air hit my face. The neighborhood was still half asleep, just the soft hum of sprinklers and the distant rumble of cars on the main road. I loved mornings like that, low, calm, grounding. I liked walking the fence line of my property before the day officially started. The wooden boards were old in some places, newer in others, but the land was mine, fair and square. Purchased years before the HOA even existed, I took a deep breath, enjoying the scent of dew on the grass. Nothing felt out of place yet. I was halfway through my walk when I noticed something strange. Fresh orange stakes hammered into the ground near my boundary line, bright neon, and placed precisely where they shouldn't be. I bent down, touched one, and felt irritation rise like heat under my collar. HOA survey markers, they were trying something again. Last month they tried fining me because my mailbox looked too judicial. The month before, they tried telling me I couldn't build a shed on acreage they didn't even control. It was always something with them. Power trips disguised as community rules. I snapped a picture of the markers and kept walking, but that uneasy feeling in my gut wouldn't go away. By the time I circled around to the back gate, the smell of cigarette smoke hit me, sharp, bitter, unmistakable. I turned the corner and nearly dropped my coffee. 3 HOA board members stood inside my property line, inside, clipboards in hand, acting like they owned the place. I froze for a second, taking in the sight. One had muddy boots, clearly having climbed through the shrubs. Another was smirking while scribbling something down. The third, the president, Karen herself, tight bun, sunglasses, and that trademark attitude, looked genuinely offended that I had caught them. "Sir," she said coldly, "you're not allowed to enter this area without HOA supervision." I actually laughed, stunned by the audacity. When I didn't immediately react the way she expected, Karen stepped closer and jabbed a finger toward my chest. "This land belongs to the association now. We've reclassified it as a shared access path. You're trespassing." Her voice was sharp enough to slice through glass. I blinked slowly, trying to wrap my head around the stupidity of what I was hearing. Trespassing on my own property. My hand tightened around my coffee mug, but I kept my voice level. "You reclassified my land without notifying me." Karen scoffed, flipping her clipboard dramatically. "We put a notice on the community board, not our fault if you don't keep up." My patience thinned. "That board is 2 miles away," I said, "and it doesn't override actual law." She rolled her eyes. "Law is subjective." And just like that, everything inside me snapped into a colder, sharper kind of awareness. They had no idea what they had just stepped into, no idea who they were threatening. But I stayed silent, for the moment, because I needed to see just how far they planned to push this. The first wave of tension hit when Karen pulled out her phone and held it up like a weapon. "I'm calling the sheriff," she announced dramatically, loud enough for neighbors 2 houses down to hear. The other board members nodded like obedient backup dancers. I could hear the click of her nails against the screen, feel the shift in the air as curtains in nearby houses moved, people watching. The scent of cigarette smoke mixed with the damp morning air, thick and irritating. My pulse didn't spike, though. If anything, I felt this cold, steady calm. I'd handled far worse confrontations in my professional life. "Go ahead," I told her evenly. Her eyebrows shot up, confused that I wasn't panicking. That confusion, it was almost satisfying. Within minutes, a patrol car pulled onto the gravel road beside my property. The low rumble of the engine vibrated through the ground. The deputy stepped out, adjusting his vest, looking between us with that tired expression cops get when they already know they've been dragged into something stupid. Karen rushed to him first. "Officer, this man is trespassing on HOA land and threatening us." She pointed at me like she had discovered a dangerous fugitive. The deputy turned his gaze toward me, measured, steady, assessing. "Sir, I'm gonna need to hear your side." His voice was calm, firm, professional. I nodded, of course. I reached into my jacket slowly, deliberately. I have something that might clarify things. The HOA board members instantly stepped back like I was pulling a weapon. Karen shrieked, "See, I told you he's dangerous." The deputy raised a hand toward her. "Ma'am, please step aside." I pulled out exactly what I intended to, a thick folder containing my property deed, survey map, and the original pre-HOA land documents. The deputy took the folder, flipped through the papers, and his eyebrows drew together piece by piece. "This shows the land hasn't been reassigned," he said. Karen's face twisted. "No, no, no. We issued a community reclassification memo." She sputtered. The board approved it unanimously. The deputy shook his head. "Ma'am, an HOA memo doesn't override county property law." Her mouth opened and closed like a short-circuiting robot, but she wasn't done. Karen marched up to the gate and slammed her clipboard against it. "We have authority here," she yelled, voice cracking. "He doesn't get to challenge us." And then, in a moment so absurd I nearly lost the ability to speak, she jabbed a finger at the deputy and declared, "Arrest him anyway." The deputy stared at her with a level of disbelief I rarely see. "Ma'am," he said slowly, "that is not how any of this works." The neighbors were gathering now, some stepping onto porches, some whispering, some filming on their phones. I watched Karen's expression shift from confident to rattled. She looked around, realizing she was losing control of the situation. But she still had no idea just how badly she was about to lose. The deputy turned back to me. "Do you want to file a trespassing report against them?" he asked. Karen's jaw dropped. "What?" she shrieked. "We are the HOA." The deputy shrugged. "And you're on land that isn't yours." Her fury was beginning to morph into something else, fear. Watching it unfold, I felt a tug of moral obligation to reveal the truth. But not yet, not until she fully understood the weight of what she was doing. The real twist needed the perfect moment, and that moment was approaching fast. I took a slow breath, the kind you take before stepping onto a courtroom floor, calm, controlled, precise. Karen was pacing now, muttering to herself, "This can't be happening. He can't do this." Her two board members stood behind her, suddenly less enthusiastic, their earlier bravado drained out like punctured balloons. The deputy faced me again, waiting for my answer. "Do you want to press charges?" he repeated. I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I stepped closer to the HOA trio. The sound of gravel crunching under my boots made all three flinch. "You really want to know why none of this is going in your favor?" I asked quietly. Karen crossed her arms, though her hands were slightly trembling. I reached into my inner jacket pocket and pulled out my ID case. Not the standard one, not the homeowner one, the official one, the thick leather, bound one embossed with the state seal. I flipped it open and held it out just enough for Karen and the board to see. The color drained from her face so fast it looked like someone had pulled the plug on her circulation. "No," she whispered, "you're not." The deputy's eyes widened with recognition, and he straightened instinctively. The neighbors gasped, some whispered, some cursed under their breath, as of 3 months ago. I said calmly, "I am the newly appointed county circuit judge, the same judge your HOA is currently under review with for multiple violations." Karen stumbled back a step. You're the judge investigating us." Her voice cracked like thin glass. I nodded. "And today, you trespassed on my land, attempted to rewrite property lines illegally, and tried to file a false police report against me." Her board members looked like they wanted to dissolve into the soil. The deputy cleared his throat, suddenly very formal. "Your Honor, would you like me to detain them?" he asked. Karen practically collapsed into a pleading stance. "No. No, wait, we didn't know. You should have told us." Her tone shifted instantly from aggression to desperation. "But I didn't budge. I don't have to tell you my profession," I said. "And even if I did, it wouldn't excuse what you attempted today." The crowd was fully invested now, phones recording, whispers floating across the fence line like gusts of wind. I could feel the weight of all their eyes, the community that had suffered under the HOA constant fear. Mongering, here's what's going to happen. I told Karen, each word deliberate, precise. A report will be filed. All three of you will receive citations for illegal trespass and misuse of HOA authority, and starting Monday, your entire HOA board will be formally reviewed for dissolution. Karen's breath hitched. You can't dissolve us, she shouted weakly. I let the silence hang for a moment. I can. I said, and if your behavior today is any indication of how you've been running things, I will. Her legs buckled slightly, and one of the board members grabbed her arm to steady her. The deputy began taking statements while the neighbors murmured their approval. The shockwave of consequences had finally hit her, and while I wasn't one to enjoy someone's downfall, I wasn't going to pretend this wasn't overdue. For months, the HOA had bullied people, used fake fines, manipulated rules, and threatened elderly neighbors who couldn't fight back. Today wasn't revenge. It was accountability, and the look on Karen's face told me she finally understood the difference.